Hello there, folks. It's me again. I thought I'd talk about Immortals. I've been promising to talk about these for a while. The Immortals rules for D&D. This is the box set D&D, not Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Don't get them confused. Now, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons was its own path. I already talked about the box sets. The second edition was more of a spin-off of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, and the third edition was a spin-off of second, and so on. The box set kind of ran its course and stopped. But it had a good run. And the last set for the box sets were the Immortals rules. Now, the concept for this idea was rather cool, actually. It's not something I would want to do, but I get why you would do it. See, I tend to think, hey, sometimes characters end, and that's kind of important to telling your story. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end to the story. They shouldn't just go on forever. But not everybody agrees with me on that point, and I get that. And if you're going to continue on as a D&D character, might as well become a god, right? Well, I mean, immortals are gods, basically. You have achieved a certain level of power in D&D, so much so that you're more like a superhero than a D&D character. Then they go, yeah, it's time to move on to godhood. New challenges, right? So, you've reached godhood. You've reached the ascension point, and you transition from being a mortal to an immortal. Congratulations. A few things happen at this point. Now, first, let's start with XP. XP converts to power points. Power points define your rank, what level of god you are, maybe the goddess of chaos is Eris, by the way, in Greek mythology. He is not quite as powerful as Zeus. So, like I said, ranks in godhood. It's like levels for gods. That's fine. Your power points define what level you are. You also spend them for effects. So you can do things, activate certain powers, move through the planes in particular directions, and each time you do that, it costs you some power points. Sometimes temporary, sometimes permanently. If it's a temporary, you just go rest in the right place and you get your powers back. Woohoo! Anyways, power points. They are defined by your XP. Here's the thing. The XP is a conversion of 10,000 XP points to 1 power point. Okay, sounds simple. But in the box set days, XP charts were different per character. So, your wizard had more XP than your cleric. When they both transition at about the same level, that means that the wizard is more powerful than the cleric. Same thing with elves, dwarves, which in the box set are class, not just the race, and so on. Now, we got that out of the way. So, your body. Your body is, well, you're still an elf. Say, if you're an elf, you're still an elf. That's cool. You're an elven god. But you have a body that's your mortal form. It's no different. Sort of. Then they have the normal form. The normal form is like your mortal form, only better. Your AC is now 0. Oh, by the way, in the box sets, it was still back in the Thaco days. So, 0 is good, and 20 is bad. So, yeah, reverse the 5th edition expectation and move that way. Why nobody had, made that sudden realization of, maybe we should reverse that sooner is beyond me. But luckily by 3rd edition they went, wait, that's dumb. Anyway, so 0 AC, you get a set hit points based on your level. period. And, it's not affected by your stats, which is fine. Your stats are mainly things that other immortals can attack. I'm going to try and attack you in such a way that it destroys your strength or your intelligence or something. So, I think I've sort of quickly assessed here. You go through some changes. You also get some weirdly broad powers. You can change your form at will. Yeah. I mean, the forms never have more stats than any of your other, your base form. You don't turn into a dragon and suddenly you have more hit points because you're a dragon. It's no more than your immortal form. So, whatever. Change to what you want. You can go into an incorporeal form, which is completely invulnerable to harm. You can't do anything except talk and watch, but it's pretty much completely invulnerable to harm. Then you've got, I can move through dimensions. Now, you get a base bonus to your sort of normal movement. You run faster, jump farther, and all that. But no. You also can I'm going to go to a different dimension now. The rule for how that works is you spend points if you're going towards the prime material plane, the inner planes. You don't spend points if you head towards the outer planes. Why? It's not actually all that clear. So, lore. There's not a long lore in these books. There is talk of there being basically elder ones, or elder gods. And they set things up so that later mortals could ascend to immortality. And then kind of pulled back. They pulled to a set of planes that you can't get to. They put a barrier up to stop you from going that way. It kind of manifests as a sort of hole in the astral space. A maelstrom. They describe it in a lot of different ways, but it's basically the barrier between where they went and where you are. You get some stats for demons. There's the suggestion that the sphere of annihilations that wander through the universe are actually somehow either sentient or possibly tied to the elder beings. They may be bringing you to the other side of that barrier or destroying you, whatever. And beyond that, there's not a lot. All of the other box sets nominally exist in Mystara. And to a certain extent, that is the assumption for this box set. Or rather, Mystara assumes that Immortals are the rule, and therefore this box set is sort of defining that. Okay, fine. But there's not a lot of talk about the history of gods in the Mystara setting in this book. Which is fine. It's a base rule book. I don't want it to be too much. The overall effect of the rules, though, it feels like they tacked on a game on top of D&D that didn't fit with D&D. They give a lot of talk about how to interact with still non-immortal characters. It tries to present some challenges and interesting things, but for the most part, it feels like a very hollow system. Like, there's not really a whole lot of point to a lot of the things. A lot of things probably could have used a system attached, or just simply not actually done. And it kind of walked the middle ground of, well, we're not going to give you a system that is really interesting, nor are we going to avoid having to deal with that. We're just going to tell you can do a thing and not explain any of the limitations. They've got a whole section on traversing and sensing into dimensions that aren't 3-dimensional or 4-dimensional or 5-dimensional or what have you. It is clear that the writer presented a notion of 4-dimensional space that actually has no relationship to physics. It's, magical metaphysics, which I guess I can accept, but then it sort of mixes it with science stuff. You can go to other planets. The size of the universe is often defined by the dimensions. It's very strange. So my final thoughts on this. Immortals is not good. I'm glad that I read it just for just to have the understanding of where the game ended, where that particular line of the D&D game ended. But if I might conceivably run a box set D&D rules game, and probably enjoy running it. And I'm pretty sure I could find some players who would probably enjoy playing it. The Immortals rules would not actually be a thing. If I were wanting an option for people to ascend to godhood from, D&D PCs, I'd do something else. These rules are a mess. This is not to say the book is written terribly badly. It just doesn't take time to deal with sort of the things that it's tossing out. And so it feels incomplete. It feels like we had an idea for a game and we tacked it onto D&D rather than making its own game. Because it probably would have worked better as its own game. Because it's tied directly to D&D and is supposed to interact with D&D, it's incomplete, it's broken, it's hollow, and that's a shame. The idea is interesting, but it's badly implemented. The good news is it's only like $5 on DM's Guild or Drive-Thru or what have you, so you're not going to spend a lot if you want to take a look at it. Got some classic artwork on the cover from Larry Elmore. The interior artwork is also fine. It's all, line art, which is typical for that time. I think I think I'm a little disappointed, but not everything's going to be a winner, right? Now, that said, I think I'm going to... I have one gazetteer I have never covered. And that's the one for Dawn of the Emperors, because I can't get a copy on Drive-Thru yet. In PDF form. Once it goes live, I will do it. But then I will probably wrap up most of my coverage for Mystara, unless somebody comes up with a question or a suggestion for something they'd like to see me cover. I think I'm going to maybe next few reviews and discussions will be of games other than D&D even. I love D&D. Don't get me wrong. It's sort of gaming-wise my native language. But I also love other games. And I feel like talking about some of the others. I filled up a stockpile of stuff that I kind of want to talk about as well. As people have been watching this show for a long time know, I am a huge superhero game nut. I'd like to talk about a couple of superhero games that are out. Do something else besides D&D for a little bit. Just a thought. This is not to say I will never do a D&D. I'm just going to sort of interspersing some other stuff in there to sort of widen things out a bit. That said, if you like this, like it, subscribe, share with people if you want. That'd be nice. That'd be cool. And of course, check out the Patreon, which is in the notes. Helps me out, And other than that, have fun. And I will catch you kids later.